All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to journey to a time before time, a space before space. We're diving deep into a concept from the Zohar that asks maybe the biggest question there is. What was actually there before the beginning? And I'm not just talking about the first second of creation. We're talking about the pure, raw potential that came before even that.
You know, everyone knows that famous line from Genesis, right? In the beginning. It's iconic. But the Zohar, our source text for today, tells us, hold on, not so fast. It forces us to rewind even further, to think about what reality was like before that first moment. And this is where it gets wild. We're asked to imagine a state that just shatters our understanding of, well, everything. A reality before light, before energy, before the laws of physics were even a rough draft.
So what's the first word that comes to mind? Silence. But listen, this isn't the kind of silence you get when you turn off the TV. No, this is an absolute primordial silence. It's so complete because there was nothing to make a sound and no one to hear it. Think of it like a totally blank canvas before even the idea of paint existed.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting. Because you might think silence means empty, right? A void. But the Zohar says, nope, not at all. It was the opposite of empty. It was a space of intense, silent pressure. Just try to wrap your head around that. All the potential of every possible universe, all crammed together in this perfect, unified state. It was a fullness, a plenum of infinite light. And this state has a name, Ein Sof.
So let's talk about Ein Sof. The name literally means the infinite, or without end. And this reality is so, well, other, that we can only really describe it by saying what it isn't. It has no color, no form, no shape. There's no up or down, no before or after. It's just pure, absolute, limitless potential. A single, unified field of being that's just completely beyond what our minds can normally grasp.
All right, so that's the setup. That's the primordial state, which leads to the big question, the central puzzle, really. If you start with something that's perfect, infinite, and totally unified, how on earth do you get a universe out of it? How does all this stuff, all this variety and form, emerge from that perfect oneness? Well, the answer is a total paradox, and it's also an incredible act of cosmic engineering.
The Zohar talks about this process. You could call it a silent, internal contraction. The famous term for this is tzimtzum. Basically, within this infinite light of Ein Sof, a sort of space gets made. But it's not an empty space. It's a space of concealment. The text describes it as a concealed rupture in the fabric of the infinite. It's like a silent crack that doesn't break the whole thing, but instead creates the room, the potential, for something new to pop up inside it.
And it's right there, in that brand new conceptual void, that space of concealment, that the very first thing happens. And our source, the Zohar, puts it this way in the original Aramaic, Nehir, Nekudah chada, stima'a ila'a. I mean, if there was ever a cinematic moment, this is it. Out of that total concealment, a state before form, before color, before anything, bam! A single supernal shining point just flickers into existence. It's just hanging there, in the void, a point with no dimensions. And this is it. This is the very first flicker of something emerging from the infinite everything of Ein Sof.
And this has a name. It's called the Nekudah stima, which means the hidden point. And guys, this is the absolute beginning of, well, everything. Why is it hidden? Because its real nature is still wrapped up in the infinite it came from. Why is it a point? Because it has no size, no dimension, and yet, somehow it contains all dimensions inside it. It's the seed, the conceptual seed from which the entire tree of reality is about to sprout.
Okay, so to really get our heads around the mechanics of this hidden point, it's super helpful to use some analogies from our world today. So let's put on our cosmic engineering hats for a minute, like we're trying to reverse engineer the source code of the universe itself. So from that engineering perspective, this hidden point is basically the ultimate singularity. You've heard of the Big Bang singularity, right? Well, think of this as the conceptual prequel to that. It's a point of infinite density, yeah, but not just energy and matter. It's infinitely dense with information. The entire blueprint for the universe is in there. Every law of physics, every fundamental constant, every single galaxy that would ever form, all of it, compressed into this tiny, dimensionless state before space and time even existed. Okay, now for my favorite analogy, the tech one, because this is just uncannily accurate. Picture this. Ein Sof is like an infinite dormant server farm, just pure, raw potential sitting there. That concealed rupture, The contraction? That's a massive compression event, a zip file basically, creating a focused space to run a program. And the hidden point? You got it. It's the first executable bit, the seed kernel that, once you run it, boots up the entire cosmic operating system and spawns every single process that makes up reality. So, you see, whether you think of it as a singularity from cosmic engineering or the first executable bit from the tech world, the function is exactly the same. We're looking at the same core idea from two different angles. This hidden point is that crucial switch, the moment we go from pure or static potential to the very first flicker of active, dynamic reality.
Okay, so we've got this point, this seed. But what's in it? What's the data on that first executable bit? And why is it called Reshit, which means beginning? It's not just beginning like number 1 in a list. It's called beginning because of the code, the foundational principles that are jammed inside it.
The reason it's called Reshit is because it is the beginning in principle. It's the same thing as the very first of the Sephirot, the divine emanations, which is called Chokmah, or wisdom. The best way to think of Chokmah is like that flash of insight you get, that aha moment. It's the whole idea, the whole concept, in a single instant, before you've even started to break it down into words or steps. This point is that flash of primordial thought. It's the divine blueprint for everything. And the amount of information packed in here is just staggering. I mean, it's a dimensionless point, but it's loaded. It holds the potential symbolized by these crucial numbers. First, the number 1, representing that ultimate oneness it just came from. Then it holds the latent power of 5, which stands for the 5 core powers of expansion, or chesed, and the 5 core powers of contraction, or gevurah. And on top of that, it contains the seed of the 13 attributes of divine mercy, which are basically the fundamental rules that will keep the whole cosmos in harmony.
Get this, even something as basic as color isn't really there yet. It's just potential, latent. So inside this point, you have the unmanifested potential for white. That represents chesed, the force of kindness, of expansion, of giving. And you have the unmanifested potential for red. That represents gevurah, the force of severity, of contraction, of setting boundaries. These two primary forces that govern all of reality, they're just sitting there, inside this point, in perfect balance, just waiting for the command to unfold.
So let's recap. We have this infinitely dense, super compressed seed, and it's packed with the entire blueprint for everything. So, how does it go from being a seed to being a universe? How does it actually unfold? All right, let's get into our final section and see exactly how that process kicks off.
For anyone who's into gaming, this next analogy is for you, and it's honestly perfect. Think of creation as a video game. Before it starts, the screen is totally black, right? That's Ein Sof in its concealed state. Then what happens? One single pixel lights up. That is our hidden point. It's the very first pixel of reality being unlocked. It's the first piece of data being rendered. And from that one single point of light, the whole game engine fires up, and the entire map of reality starts to draw itself out, one pixel at a time.
And here's how that rendering process actually works geometrically. It starts with step 1, the point, the Nekudah, that dimensionless seed we've been talking about. Then, in step 2, that point doesn't just sit there, it extends. It draws itself out and becomes a line, a curve. And just like that, you have the first dimension. You have direction, a vector. Then, step 3, that line expands again into planes and shapes. It becomes a structure, a binyan. And that is the birth of the Sephirot, the 10 fundamental architectural pillars of reality itself.
So, what's the big takeaway here? What's the profound point of all this? It's that nothing in the universe is truly new. The unbelievable vast complexity of it all, every star, every person, every idea, it was all already there, in potential, inside that one single hidden point. Creation wasn't something from nothing. It was the dynamic unfolding, the unpacking of the code that was written into that very first moment.
And that leaves us with one final, and I think pretty provocative thought to sit with. If all of reality, the entire macrocosm, is just the expression of that one initial point of wisdom, then what about the microcosm? What about you? What hidden point, what unique blueprint of pure potential is sitting inside of you, just waiting to unfold? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.